Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Frozen 2 from 2019, directed by Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck, and of course, another one of the Disney Revival Age films. So yes, we are back once again to discuss Frozen 2. Now, another Disney film, of course, on the channel. This is the one that I, kind of had been meaning to see for obviously many years, and last reviewed Frozen 1 on the channel back in 2019, and that was obviously when this was released, and I was meant to, see this at some point, and never got around to it. So here we finally are a few weeks ago watching this one, and yeah, there won't be a spoiler warning for this film because I won't really get into the plot at all. I'm just giving the very basic, outline of where we start in the film and all that kind of stuff. So I won't, kind of ruin the film at all, and won't get into the plot really too much. So yeah, but you don't need to kind of, worry about that. You kind of think about giving spoilers to you. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and this will be fairly brief. I don't have too much to say about this one, but I wanted to kind of log my thoughts anyway, and just express my opinion, and then to hear your thoughts as well, obviously, as always, in the comments. So yes, Frozen for me. Now, well, maybe perhaps over the years I thought perhaps I gave it a little bit too high a rating. It would be maybe a little bit lower than that. A few percentage. I still really like that film. That's the one that I saw for the first time in 2019, and thought this is way better than I thought it'd be. And there's a lot of things going through it. It was quite stunning at times visually, and I did really like the characters a lot of the time, and just I thought it was quite an inspiring story, and very, some of the songs, the way it was done, in the film was very good actually at times, and I thought, yeah, it was a very charming, modern Disney film, and I think I didn't expect too much from the sequel, after kind of hearing about this and stuff, and just seeing the general plot, I thought it doesn't really interest me too much, but we'll give it a go, and it can't be too bad. Well, for me, this was pretty bad actually, just my opinion. I thought it was one of the most disappointing, kind of Disney films, and certainly Disney sequels. There's quite a few Disney films that I saw as a kid, and stuff growing up that were straight to VHS and all that kind of stuff, and they were not considered, too good at all. They were quite shunned, they're just not really, regarded as proper Disney films. But I think, really all of those films, in a way, that I saw are better than this, and I think that's a shame because this is the highest-grossing animated film of all time. Not that means everything, but it's a shame. I feel that this was so lackluster, and the fact that they had been, as well, kind of delaying this and just thinking, should we make a sequel? It needs to kind of live up to the original, and we don't want it to be inferior. Now, it's fine of sequels being not as good as a film that is, quite a success and all this. Sequels don't need to top, and naturally they don't always top the original film in a franchise, in a specific kind of creation, I think. But this one really falls short, and that's saying something. I think in every single way, this feels like it was just rushed, and for me, and just it's just kind of done for the sake of it, to kind of make money in that sense, with all respect. And I think just seeing this, it feels like it's kind of a kind of a sample. You would a demo, and the world, for example, just all the surroundings, the terrain, and just what's going on, in various scenes in the film visually. It just feels very hollow, very empty. It's not really. There's nothing going on for me to be that interested in visually throughout most of the film. Obviously, we see all the characters again: Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf, and we have kind of the beginning just basically shows Elsa, Varendale, kind of something's up, and she starts hearing this mysterious voice, and that kind of leads her to go on this journey of self-discovery through forests, etc. Seas. That's all I'm going to say about the plot, and I think something could have been done with this that was really quite special, but it just wasn't in its execution. I think it was just a very generic kind of adventure, and very empty. Not really too much going on with the characters. I found the growth of the characters that I thought I perhaps would find in this, considering the actual plot outline, and how it started. I thought we'll see what happens, but straight away, really, other than kind of flashback sequence, I found this to be very lackluster, and just unengaging. I thought it was very different to the first in the comedy as well. A lot of the characters are amped up, like a lot of sequels, especially animated sequels. Sometimes they can, kind of try and amp up the characters, or just comedies in general as well, and kind of take some of their traits that were maybe fairly subtle in a first film, and amp it up, and just with no restraint, kind of thing, and it goes all in, and it's just very over the top. I found, especially with Olaf, in this film, was very, very annoying, unfortunately, and I really liked that character in the first film, but in this one, just so annoying, just very, very loud, and repeating things in a certain way that was just very, very annoying. The songs in this film as well. I wanted to like the songs. I thought, I really wanted to kind of appreciate this film for that, because the first one, it's not, my favourite, Disney film for the songs and stuff. But I do really appreciate some of the songs, and I think, especially "Let It Go," something like that. It is a very good song in the way it's done in the film, I found. And none of the songs in this film live up at all to that, or just any of the songs. They're not catchy. They're not, kind of charming. The songs don't really progress the narrative, in kind of an engaging way, just for me personally as well. And I find that it's just kind of a disappointment on all fronts in terms of that. The score, at times was to praise. Some of the positives just include general cute moments. I think there's this nice salamander that's in the film, and that's a really, really cute, set of interactions, throughout, and some cute moments and nice general moments with Sven, of course, the reindeer, and I found some just general, kind of things that should be in a Disney, and just bare bones, kind of cute moments and charming interactions here and there. But really, for what this film was, I found it to be very disappointing. Overall, to sum it up, as we went throughout the film, I was very, very bored. I think that's a real shame. Felt very empty, very, very, very rushed. As I say, like a kind of demo. Really, it's like a, you just play an open world video game, and it's kind of not finished, and there's nothing really in the world to see, and as well, just a general dull feeling visually. It was very, very dull for the most part, and just some of the animation here, it's just for the highest grossing, kind of animated film. I expected just a bit more going on compared to some of the Disneys we've been seeing, even just recently, kind of comparing. And the first Frozen film, there was always something in that. It's not my favourite animation, in the Disneys at all, but there's always something kind of vibrant and something to look at, and very interesting designs, of the world. The character models, once again in this, not my favourite. There are some things to praise. Obviously, I do appreciate the film in places in the animation, but compared to what we're kind of used to seeing with the Disneys, I think it is definitely worse than all of these ones. I think certainly worse than the first Frozen film. So that's a real shame. I think overall it was a boring adventure film for me. It wasn't funny. The comedy was very, very cringy at times, very annoying, just completely different to the first film. And just the character, working the world building, times, I thought this could be interesting, and it never really went anywhere meaningful for me, and I just wasn't interested at all in this narrative, and I found it to be very, very tiresome, just a complete drag, very boring and empty, and hollow of an experience. And when there was kind of things trying to be more fun and lively and comedic, it was just too much. There was no real control over some of the characters, and they acted completely different. They kind of sold out the characters, if you will, and I just found it to be so disappointing. It was very hard to get through this one, and it wasn't a long film at all, but it felt so long of an experience, and that always just happens when you're not personally enjoying a film and you find it to be boring and drawn out. You will feel that kind of experience, and 3 hour obviously plus films, and you just zip by. So it is just subjective, obviously, but I found it to be very, very drawn out and never-ending kind of experience. Some nice moments, as I say, some things to praise technically, here and there. Obviously, there are some things to appreciate naturally with this type of film, but it's not enough to call this film one that I enjoyed at all. Really, overall, I think for what this film is and what this film could have been, the gap between this and Frozen, the first one, 6-year gap, I think this film could have been so much better. Just for me personally, obviously, there are people that will like this film, and that's great. But for me, being quite a big fan, as I say, of the first one, I was very baffled really by this film. I just found it very unengaging, completely, really, from start to finish. The flashback, sequence that was there, and just a couple of cute moments, that was nice, but really that's all to take from the film for me, and a couple of aspects throughout. I just found it to be, as we went on, very, very tiresome and completely unenjoyable for me experience. So overall, my rating for this film is a 40%. That's a really low score for me. It's very, very unfortunate. I think this film could have been so much more, and it just wasn't. It's just, for me, I have to be honest. very, very boring, flat, just dull looking, and wasn't into the songs at all really. It's just, it lacked so much vibrancy, kind of magic that I think the first one did have. Again, the first is not one of my favourite Disneys at all. There are more magical and kind of mind-blowing Disneys that have been made over the years, but it did have a magic to a charm. I thought it was very commendable. It was inspiring. For a lot of people that watched that film, they will be inspired, and I thought there was a lot of things to like about the characters and stuff, and just the general narrative was uplifting and interesting. Had a spirit to it. Whereas this film lacks all those things, and it really, just for me personally, I didn't really feel much at all for this one, other than boredom and annoyance. It's very, very irritating with what they were doing with the characters, and I thought they completely changed what was going on in the first, and just a very, very kind of hollow plot, in its execution. I thought it could have been fine, a simple plot like this, and it didn't become convoluted, but it became unnecessary as well with different things. And then in general, though, it's just a very empty adventure film that I didn't really find much fun to be had with this one. So that's a real shame. That's a very vital thing, with these films. It has to be a fun, kind of charming experience to watch, and it just wasn't for me. So 40%, very, very low score for me. I think that's fair for what my experience was, and just the overall film, what it offered, for me, and how it was presented as a Disney film. This is one of my least favourites. I think it just really is such an underwhelming film in so many regards, and I just think, as a sequel, as I say, to the first, very, very disappointing film, and I can't deny this. It was a very, very hard, film to get through. Just to sit through this one, I was very bored, and it was annoying, and it's just very, dull to look at. I was very, kind of just unengaged, with this film. As I say, visually, and the songs, they weren't really, something I could take anything from. So with all respect, this one just does not hit the mark at all. And for the highest-grossing Disney film, obviously, naturally, the first one was so successful that this one, in terms of the Disney animated films, this is the highest-grossing one, and also the highest-grossing animated film of all time. So it's quite a feat, and it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst, really, Disney films that I have seen personally. So it is a shame. Just saying that, I'm kind of comparing that. I think it's just simply because I expected so much more, and of this massive, massive film. The sequel that had been, kind of, they had been delaying this and wondering what to do with it, and I thought it would have been better than this. So that's my thoughts overall. Unfortunately, for Frozen 2, just wasn't for me personally. And I think when I do my Disney ranking, of all the classics, the studio animated films, I think this one will be, fairly low. Let's just say that, personally for me, and I just didn't enjoy this film really at all. So yes, what do you think of this? It'd be really great to hear. This is just my opinion, obviously, on the film, and my own personal experience with this. But what do you think? What did you think? In comparing this to the first, what did you prefer? And how does this, kind of sit among your the Disney films for you? And we all have different opinions, obviously, and this was just my opinion on this film. It just wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy this one personally, but it would be great to discuss this film and all things Disney in the comments. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.